It was a long time ago. I heard the piano reduction of a very famous piece of music called Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence by, of course, Ryuichi Sakamoto. I was obsessed with that piece. And then in 2019, I was so excited to be going to Japan with Drake Music. One of the reasons I was there was to perform with the instrument that I'm known for playing, which is, of course, the Mimu gloves. I knew I needed something, and I wanted to do something that would showcase the gloves, and I wanted it to have that nod to my love of all things Japan. So that's where it started. I sort of revisited the theme. I just worked it out in a way that made sense, and the title just kind of summed up the feelings that I had as I was preparing for this trip to Japan. This sense of knowing that I was going to really love this place and I was going to head somewhere that was going to really resonate with me. My father plays guitar and played in bands and stuff, so the house, there was always guitars around, so they were always fascinating to me even when I was very, very young. I was born with a condition called cerebral palsy, which really affects my movement, especially getting around, but it also affects my hands. And despite those barriers, I just kind of thought, well, I'm going to be a famous rock star. I just wanted to play music, and specifically, I wanted to play the guitar because that's what my dad did. It was much later on in life, when I was performing and as a solo guitar player, that my impairment started to really affect my guitar playing. The brakes were being put on by my body, by my access barriers and my impairment. Around this time, Drake Music were having a conversation with Imogen Heap, who is a really successful singer-songwriter here in the UK. Drake Music and I saw quite by accident that she'd invented something that was a real breakthrough for disabled musicians, because if you could wear an instrument that could learn your movements, then you would start from a different point of view of embracing whatever movement you have and turning that into music. That was the turning point that allowed me to become a professional musician. With the gloves, I was finally empowered in a way that I could perform to a serious level. I went on a tour of the UK, and then that tour expanded to invites to perform in Europe and eventually the US. And it slowly but surely became my full-time career playing the Mimu gloves. And that journey has taken me all over the world, including of course, to Kawasaki City in 2019. So this is a Mimu glove. It's a wearable technology that embraces a lot of things that are kind of commonplace but haven't necessarily been put together in one piece of technology before, like a gyroscope and an accelerometer, things like that, which tell it where it is in space. For example, is my hand up here, or is my hand forwards or right? The gloves can have any sound, so my live performances are much more ambitious and full sounding. I can sound like a whole band. My frustration with accessible technology at the time was it tended to be these kind of binary events of like you could press a button to have something make some sound, and the gloves were the breakthrough in terms of, we thought there was scope for virtuosity. You could get really good at playing the gloves. What I started to realize was I was performing songs that I'd already written before the gloves had arrived. So I was learning to play guitar songs and thinking, how do these map to the gloves? What I got more interested in as I've gone on, and since going to Kawasaki, I have explored a kind of reverse approach. I was thinking about, what does movement sound like? So I used gesture to find the piece rather than having a piece of music that then you learn. And what got really exciting to me about that was I was able to create a piece that actually no pianist could play, because I'm not bound by the physics of the keys. I don't think that's ever been done before in terms of like feeding composition through movement. There's so much that I'd like to say to Japanese audiences. I really had an amazing time in Kawasaki, and it really fulfilled a big ambition for me to connect with Japanese audiences. Obviously, I didn't know how people would respond to my music, but I was incredibly grateful for the way that they did. Feeling those influences very strongly, I want to hopefully eventually be able to bring this work to Japanese audiences. Japanese audience is very important to me. I'm really grateful for those people who became interested in my music, and I just can't wait to meet more of you and come back eventually when we're allowed to do so.